Now, South Africa's ambassador to the United States is preparing to return home after he was this weekend given 72 hours to leave Washington. The decision was sparked by Ebrahim Rasool's comments that the U.S. President Donald Trump, quote, mobilized a supremacist instinct and white victimhood, unquote. The presidency has noted the regrettable expulsion of the South African ambassador to the U.S. Let's now speak to the presidency spokesperson, Vincent Magwenya. Vincent, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. Has Pretoria now received the letter from Washington indicating that our ambassador has been expelled?
Good morning, Aldrin, and good morning to your viewers. The letter was handed to Ambassador Rasool immediately after that announcement by Secretary Rubio announcing Ambassador Rasool's expulsion.
Okay. So what happens now? We understand that he was given 72 hours. Can you confirm whether he is on his way back?
Indeed, he's on his way back to South Africa. And ours now is to focus on how do we move forward with the work that he had already started and that he was spearheading with respect to engaging various levels of the Trump administration. And we will forge ahead with that work because this is an important strategic, political and diplomatic relationship that we want to maintain, that we want to sustain. There is an enormous opportunity to grow our trade with the United States at a bilateral level or within AGOA if it's retained. And our energies are going to be focused on how do we move forward in a constructive manner with the U.S.
Okay. When can we expect the ambassador to be back on South African soil?
I'm not sure of the details, either today or tomorrow, but he's on his way.
He's on his way back. Okay. Then in the letter that was sent to the ambassador, does it indicate what the reasons behind the decision is?
You know, Aldrin, we are at a stage where we've accepted that the U.S. has chosen to exercise its prerogative with respect to expelling the ambassador. We're not going to spend our energies conducting a post-mortem on the reasons and the back and forth. Ours, as I've said, is to focus on how do we move forward. We have an important relationship that we need to maintain, that we need to reset, and that's where we're going to focus.
Yeah. So how do you move forward then if you don't deal with that particular aspect around why the ambassador was expelled? And in your statement that you issued on Saturday, you called it regrettable. What's regrettable about it? Well,
how do you move forward? You continue to engage. There are engagements, as I said, at various levels. The DTIC is looking at a trade deal proposal that we can table before the Trump administration. We have areas of alignment and convergence between ourselves and the United States, and we would like to focus on those areas and build on them in terms of taking the relationship forward. So not all is lost. The decision has been made by the U.S. We have to accept it. It's their prerogative to do so. Other countries have exercised similar decisions when they feel the need to do so. And so what is at stake now is not so much what has happened, is what we are able to do to find each other with the United States and research this relationship. It's a vital relationship from a trade point of view, also from a political and diplomatic point of view. We have to work with the U.S. within the G20 as part of the Troika. And so the opportunities that are available to us that we can utilize to research this relationship. And that's how we move forward.
Yeah. Okay. In the moving forward part, does South Africa or Pretoria in this particular case agree with the sentiments that were expressed by Ambassador Rasool?
Ambassador Rasool is an experienced diplomat, Aldrin. This was his second tour to the United States. He will reflect on his experience, or recent experience rather, in the United States. He will reflect on the incident that has led to his expulsion, and we will leave it at that. There are lessons for us to be drawn from this, and we will reflect on those lessons.
Okay. But what is the president's view on this? Because the ambassador would serve at the behest of the president. Sure, yes, the ambassador can reflect on what he has said, but what is the person who deployed him saying about what the ambassador has said?
The president, as I've said, is now focusing on continuing the work that Ambassador Rasool had started. The president is focusing on ensuring that we reset this relationship. We have to do enough preparatory work on the ground to ensure that when he finally dispatches a delegation to Washington, that delegation is able to engage meaningfully. It's also able to engage over tangible substance, particularly on trade, as well as other areas of concern that the U.S. may have, as well as areas of alignment with respect to various bilateral as well as geopolitical issues. That's where the president's focus is now.
All right. Will South Africa be sending a replacement ambassador or acting ambassador?
The Department of International Relations and Cooperation is already managing a process to compile a list of recommendations that the president will consider. And there's a great deal of urgency, or rather a sense of urgency, to ensure that we have adequate representation in Washington to carry forward the work that we need done there.
Yeah. Or just before the expulsion, actually, there's a report on semaphore.com where they say that Ambassador Rasool has been trying to get the ear of the U.S. administration under Donald Trump. He hasn't been successful. They go on to say that a Republican staffer on the Hill said they were not taking any meetings with Rasool after the resurfacing of the alleged past anti-Trump statements. What is South Africa's understanding around why these meetings are not taking place?
Well, our understanding is that he was engaging with officials within the White House, and there was a great deal of progress that was being achieved out of those engagements. And I'm not certain of these reports that you reference. I've not seen them. But our understanding is that he was having meaningful engagements, and it was on his advice that the president decided to hold back on dispatching a delegation to Washington, because Ambassador Rasool advised that we needed to do enough preparatory work on the ground, which was what he was doing.
Yeah. Because in that Mapungubwe discussion, in the panel discussion, he said that he was knocking on empty doors or empty rooms. So who has he been meeting?
Well, as I said, he was meeting officials within the White House. That was our understanding. And we took his guidance and advice as a senior diplomat on the ground with respect to when that delegation could be dispatched. Aldrin, I know you're interested in conducting a detailed postmortem in this issue with respect to the expulsion of the ambassador. That's not our interest, unfortunately, and respectfully. Ours is to focus on resuscitating the relationship. There's a lot at stake here with respect to trade, with respect to a whole lot of other issues. And we need to be measured in our approach, and we need to be constructive. We've already said we will not conduct megaphone diplomacy on this matter, and therefore I will respectfully resist any attempt, even out of this discussion, for us to end up making the situation or escalating the situation further than what it is already. We have to act responsibly. We have to act in a mature manner. We have to adapt to the current backdrop of conducting diplomacy in Washington, and we have to always act in the best interest of the country. A postmortem on Ambassador Rasool's time in Washington is not helpful. What is helpful is figuring out how do we move forward, and that's what we're currently focusing on.
Well, the argument would be you also need to know what went wrong. But moving forward, though, The Department of Trade and Industry's Deputy Minister, Grant Whitfield, was in the United States, of course, under political party the Democratic Alliance. We understand, according to the ANC's Deputy Secretary General, that he had asked for leave and he was granted leave by the President. But was there any explanation from Deputy Minister Grant around that particular meetings and the nature of those meetings that have taken place that could actually aid South Africa in trying to deal with its relationship with the United States?
And Aldrin, respectfully, I will not speak on behalf of the Deputy Minister. That's a question best put to him. I've stated where our focus is and what our position is right now, and that's where we're going to remain focused.
Okay, thank you so much. Vincent Magwenya is the spokesperson for the President there on the decision that has been taken by the United States of America to expel Ebrahim Rasool, our ambassador to the United States, now at least former ambassador to the United States. A letter has been sent to the ambassador as well, indicating his expulsion. And also we understand from Vincent Magwenya that he is on his way back to the country following that decision. Still to